Some stories are heard, others become legendary. Welcome to the Becoming Legendary podcast, hosted by Rita Valente, the visibility architect and the fame activator. Real stories, raw conversations, legendary impact.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Become Legendary. My name is Rita Valente, and today there is going to be a conversation. My guest is Marta, and it's not going to be our normal conversation because I know something that Marta doesn't know, but we go there in a second. Marta, thank you so much for coming to us.
Thank you.
So much for sharing your story. And we go there in a second. I have something to tell you, but I will tell you when you arrive to that part on the story. Where do you want to start?
Well, I guess we can start at my life story is called Becoming Mother Martha.
Mm-hmm.
So I suppose we start at the moment that was the catalyst that led me in the direction of becoming Mother Martha.
Okay.
Yes, many years ago, I was a nurse in West Virginia. And at the time, I was in nursing school.
Mm-hmm.
I was driving home from work and I was rear-ended at a high speed.
Mm-hmm.
And the next day I became front page news. 3 people died. I was in a hospital bed. So I was young. My life was ahead of me. I was newly married. Things were wonderful, as I thought. And in a second, my entire life changed.
Yeah. I'm very sorry for that, but as becoming legendary, and I want to give a little backstory on becoming legendary. It was November or December last year, and I had health diagnosed. Then I was wrong. Then I had few months to live. And I was in Tulum, Mexico, and I was driving in the middle of the dark on my four-wheeler, crying my eyes out and thinking about my children that I was not in contact with. And I was keeping asking, and I work with visibility for many, many years. That is what I do. I tell people stories. I help them arriving to TEDx or to whatever they want, from Netflix, you name it. But I was driving and I was asking in special, how can I do never die? And the answer came to me, it was becoming legendary. And I deeply believe, and then this is my personal belief, if the value is whatever it means, then people go through really hard moments in life, have the ability, if they want so, to become the most happy and the most fulfilled and the most able and the most empathic beings in the world. And I'm talking with you about that because I went through many different situations. So I still am very sorry for that. But the story who comes after that. Someone yesterday, was a few days ago, was telling me that sometimes the world, the universe, God, whatever you believe, give you like pieces of the puzzle, then we don't really understand why is this happening right now. But then we'll make some sense. Life it's not perfect and it's not beautiful many times and it's not how they tell us it should be, right?
Right.
But what you did with all of that is very beautiful. So what did happen after?
Well, you know, as I said, I was young and I was healthy, and all of a sudden, then I couldn't even walk to the bathroom by myself. I was in a hospital bed. My goal was to finish nursing school, and I was determined.
I can feel. I can
I
feel.
was determined. So I had a very wise mentor. Now, she was a very unconventional woman. And, I got all these phone calls. Oh, I'm so sorry, Martha, this happened to you. And how can I help you? And how can I be there for you? And my room filled full of flowers. And there was food when I got home and I was discharged and all these things. So my mentor says, now listen, she said, I can see one of two things happening here. She was like, either you're going to lay here and play the victim,
Mhm.
or you're going to get up and do something with this. She said, I'm going to send you a book. I was like, a book? Okay. She had never steered me wrong before in her unconventional ways. So when I got home, I had like I said, it was a 2-year recovery process. But when I got home, there was a book waiting for me. It was called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl.
Okay, don't know that book.
So
Yeah,
yes. So he survived one of the worst concentration camps of World War II and came out of it and did some amazing things with it. So that changed my perspective. That's what changed my mindset. I was like, if this guy can do this, then I can do this. So my goal was to finish nursing school, and I did that in 2 years. I had many, many surgeries. 2 years and 1 week from the date of my accident, I graduated from nursing school, and then I got a
congratulations.
job in the same hospital that saved my life,
Wow.
being one of the lifesavers on the other side.
Wow, what experience, because when you are there working, you know better than no one what is to be on that bed.
Yes.
That is a
So
strong.
that was the catalyst to my mind shift. Was it easy? No. It was 2 years of physical therapy and surgeries. I had knees reconstructed. My face had to be. I literally lost who I was. My face had to be reconstructed. Uh, I still. It's been many years. I still have some lingering effects, but not a lot. And so that was the catalyst to me becoming Mother Martha, was this experience.
Hmm. Now, Martha, Mother Martha, who did, I don't know, I'm trying to arrive to a point because I want to give you something back, but I'm trying to guide this. We have so okay, let's drop it like it's hot. We have something in common. We have a connection with Africa. And I grew up in Africa. I
Awesome.
I was born in Lisbon, Portugal, and I grew up in São Tomé e Príncipe. Then it's like two little islands on the equator, and in front of Gabon. And I grew up in a cocoa farm. And
Oh, okay.
I travel Africa, and not only as international DJ, but I travel Africa all my life. And I grow up with what is, in my opinion, the mentality of even the fact that I'm white and I was in a privileged situation. This is after the independence from Portugal. So, and I had a mother or parents who very easily, I was the only white child on the country.
Mm,
And it was, my mom always ground me really well on the sense that here you learn and you respect any person then you cross paths with, whatever is the lady helping in our home, whatever is the president of the country, whatever is the
yes.
fisherman, whatever is. And I don't know. I live in South America right now. And I think I live in South America, and for me it's clear because it's I don't want to live in Africa, but I think it's a connection on this. Now, this is my story with Africa. I feel deeply on my heart that my soul is much more African than it is European point. All ways, forms, and shapes, even on the fact and on the way they celebrate the death of someone. When someone died, it's not, it's sad, obviously, but they do what they call a nojo cake. It's like a party in the house of the person who died, where
Yeah.
you do all the things that that person did enjoy. And normally it's very weird because the body is still there, but that is a detail. But I I was never going to be as problem solver, as capable of conquering amazing things in my life. And then when I say amazing, it's like I just think that I put in my life because I didn't know what was to not have things. Yeah, I grew up with parents with money, but there was no shops, no, so I could not buy toys or whatever. So you need to think out of the box. And when
Yes.
you don't have something, then I really enjoy is to not live the normal life. I live a very slow living, minimalist, and I live on top of the mountain without a car. That is another point. But that makes my brain go and like, okay, how we solve that problem? I will never was going to be able to be as resource. I can never say this word. That has as many resources as I have in my life if I did not learn the culture, if I did not listen to music, if I did not eat the foods, if I was not raised by that women and that man. So now, then I did a full stand up here on your podcast because you are the guest. What is your
That's
connection?
okay.
What is your
I
connection?
understand because Africa has a way with stealing your heart.
100%.
Once your heart is there, it's there. So I completely understand where you're coming from. And I live in Las Vegas, which is a completely different culture than
Yeah.
East Africa. You know, I mean,
And East Africa
completely
is like, it's hard.
hot.
It's
Yes.
it's hot and it's hard. And it's hard.
Yes.
And I don't think people really realize how big the continent of Africa is and how mix it is of like from the temperature to the culture and the
Cultures, the
religion.
clothing, the food,
Yeah,
religion,
oh,
yes,
like
everything. Yeah.
oh, you can be on a tropical jungle, and at the meantime, you be on totally desert, and yeah, and it's not for everyone. It's not
True.
in special for people who grow up on this world. It's like it's very confusing. I was laughing. I don't know if you know a stand-up guy, and his name is Trevor Noah. It was from South
Oh
Africa.
yeah. Uh-huh.
And he was telling, it was this last stand-up was joking that no aliens ever go and try to get Africa. Like Africa is the last place. Because exactly of the concept of like Africa is like a, a different world. But that being said, how, what, who? Bring
I
on.
know. So yeah, how does a nurse from West Virginia who just went through all of these things become connected to East Africa?
How?
Well, yeah, I know. Isn't that interesting? So, you know, so how that happened was, after I recovered and I was going on with my life, my home life, my relationship, my home became a battlefield. What I had went through brought out how abusive my home was.
Hmm.
And, I had had some trouble with having my own children and this and that. And a friend of mine, she said, well, why don't we help children in Brazil? So that was the first place we went. We went to Brazil.
Okay.
So then,
So you
so
don't, do you know Portuguese?
no, that
Okay.
was the night we took. Yeah. So then we decided that we were going to, help children locally, which was good. So then a friend of mine in Minneapolis called me and she said, I've been going to East Africa to a orphanage in the capital city of Kampala, Uganda.
Hmm.
Why don't you guys help here? Okay, so I'm that kind of friend. Okay, well, let's start.
That kind of friend.
Whatever.
I cannot,
Yeah.
like, I can picture you arriving because if, tell me if it was not where am I? Like,
Oh, well, that's when
the
I
first
first
impact,
arrived.
the first,
That was
like,
my first impression was the airport. I was like, this looks like my grandfather's chicken coop back in West Virginia. This is home to me, you know. But that was my first impression. So I I had a sponsored child named Jeffrey. My
mhm,
friend Tracy adopted Jeffrey's brother Ivan and brought him to the U.S. to Minneapolis. Friends and I started helping in an orphanage in Kampala, Uganda,
mhm,
called Malamu Children's Village. And during that time, as I said, my home life became very toxic to the point that it was dangerous.
mhm,
And I know there are a lot of people that can understand that, you know, being in these types of situations. And, you know, no one believed me. And I kept telling people, they were like, no, because from the outside looking in, our lives looked amazing. You know, we had the American dream, right? We had the house and the job and the what and this and that, and it looked great. But behind closed doors, it was a nightmare. So it just kind of spiraled. And I packed a little bag and I put it in my closet at the foot of my bed
mhm,
because I knew at some point it was just escalating. It was getting worse and worse and worse. So Mother's Day 2018, I had to grab that suitcase and run out of that house.
mhm,
Now I didn't know where I was going to go. No one had believed me. No one was going to give me a safe place, but I knew I had to go. And I ran to the end of the porch. This is West Virginia. So we have these big long porches in the front of our houses, right? And I look at him and I said, you will never see my face again. And I got in my car and I started driving. I'm crying and I didn't know where I was going. And I drove a little ways to a safe place and I pulled over and I was like, who can I call? Who is the one person I can trust? My sponsor child, Jeffrey, in Uganda. Now, what did I think he could do for me? He was 7,000 miles away. I had no idea, but I knew I could trust him. He wasn't going to tell anybody where I was. He wasn't going to do any of those things. So I called him up and he says, listen, remember, my friend Tracy had adopted his brother and took him to Minneapolis.
mhm,
He said, Martha, everything you have done for me, my brother, the family, the orphanage, you go to Minneapolis and my brother will keep you safe.
mhm,
So I took a few days, I hid away with a friend, and we gathered together enough money. I call this my freedom flight. I took a flight from Charleston, West Virginia to Minneapolis, Minnesota. Now, I had never been to Minnesota. I had never met his brother Ivan, but I knew my friend Tracy was good.
mhm,
You know, so if they said I could stay there, then I knew it would be safe. And it was scary. I remember sitting in the airport in a place that I had never been to live with people I had never met. But the alternative of turning back was not an option.
mhm,
So I always say Ivan, Jeffrey, and Joe saved my life. And Joe was another young man that was living with Ivan. He's from Rwanda.
okay.
So they took me in for 4 months and hid me and kept me safe until it was safe for me to, you know, move on with my life. And it was a small town, Blaine, Minnesota. There's a Walmart and an airport, and that's just about it. But the people are amazing. They were so kind. It was the perfect place for me to begin healing, for me to begin to restart my life. I was a shell of a human being. I look back at the photos now and I think, who is that person? I once again had lost, you know, in the accident, I had lost who I was. But when I had to run for my life, I lost everything I had and everything that I was. My life was reduced to a suitcase.
Mhm. I have been
But I
there.
was but I still had my life, right? You still had your life. And if there's life, there's hope. It becomes like a blank page in a book. Now we can make it look like whatever we want it to look like. Was it easy? No, because then you have to heal from all the things that just happened. So, how I ended up in Las Vegas was a friend of mine had moved to Las Vegas. And she said, "Why don't you come out to Vegas and restart your life? What a better place to be a single lady, right?" She was right. I mean, Vegas has been good to me. Vegas is where I discovered who I was, because when I first got here to live with my friend and I moved into her second bedroom, and I was like, I had been so abused. As I said, I was a shell of a person. I didn't know what I liked. I didn't know she was asking me, like, what do you want to eat? I don't know, because I had always been told who I am and what you're going to wear and what you're going to do. And that here was the point when, first of all, I realized that I had to help these children because they had saved my life. Yes, I had helped them for those years, but they had literally saved my life. And if it wasn't for them, I probably would not be here.
Mhm.
So my passion for helping children increased, and I also found myself.
Wow. Um, so what is the point now? What is going on in your life? Who who is your essence? Who are you? Now I'm going to do the question that I normally do on the beginning, but I did want to, like, because it's such a loaded question. But if I want to know who are you, what you answer me now?
Well, I'm a nurse, I'm an author, and I'm an advocate for children. And this Mother Martha nickname was given to me by the children in the orphanage, and didn't really like it at first, but now I understand it. It's sort of like Mother Teresa, respect, someone who takes care of things, someone who gets things done.
In Africa, it's very normal to call mama
Yes,
to a figure, a female figure who helps. So it's
yes,
very normal to have more than one mama.
yes,
So
yes.
everyone raised the children of everyone, and there is no. It's a very beautiful thing. Um, what you want?
I want to continue working with children and the elderly. We are now working in the Kuman region of Uganda,
Hmm.
helping widows who have lost their husbands, who are having a difficult time. We want to build a hospice and a nursing home because there's a big population of elderly people there that are not getting the care that they need.
Hmm.
So, we have I feel like, even though I've been doing this since 2014, I feel like we're always just getting started,
Scratching the
getting started,
surface.
right? Because, there's so many things there. Have I always been popular? No, because as you know, Africa sometimes have bad guys, and bad guys don't like it when good guys do good things.
100%.
So,
And it's very
so
dangerous
it's dangerous.
in special as a woman alone. There is, you need, it's very difficult to explain this to someone who never did experience. As a woman, as a white woman, they don't respect you. And that comes from a very interesting point, and this is very true. When I arrived to Africa, I was 1 month old, and I was the only white kid because this is after the independence. And my mom, I had a nanny, and the biggest concern of that nanny was I was a girl, I was small, I was never going to survive because my mom died with malaria. So you
Oh
can
my.
imagine, yeah, you can imagine. So she started giving me spices like you have, like what they call it, like what you eat, everything what is spice to make me stronger. What did not went really well for me because one day I did get a huge allergy and I was swallowed all over, and for years I could not eat spice. But
Mm.
um, as I'm a small woman. I have one, I don't know in feet, but like five something. And five few, let's put it like that. I did when it was my time to work to command and leader the work on the cacao farm, I did need to prove myself. And the way that I proved myself was me doing their work for hours and hours and hours, and they sitting there watching me until they said, okay, this one deserves respect. And it's very interesting because there is a lot when we talk about, and sometimes I need to laugh because we talk about a lot about the problems of South America or the problems of Mexico for all the, but Africa takes the thing to another level. Like there is no safety net. There's no knock on the door for the policeman to come.
No, no.
That
You can
doesn't
call the police all
exist.
day. No, there's not.
That
No,
doesn't
no,
exist.
no. It's not there.
And it's about respect. People, you can be saved in your life if they respect you, and they can be against what you are doing, but if they respect you, it's different. It's very the weird fabric of the society is totally different
Yes.
environment.
And I have broken, cultural norms. I sat in the oldest parliament on the African continent as a white lady from the United States. And of course, that didn't make a lot of people happy. It's
No,
okay.
nobody did like you.
So that's okay because, if no one steps out and does something outside of the norm, then nothing will ever change.
Mm. I'm I'm listening to you and I'm wondering because we have many magazines and we tell and share stories across all borders and from Arabia to Mexico, etc. What is the message that you would like to share? What you would like to promote? What is like your main goal?
My main goal is to inspire people because, in my story, I could have easily folded at any minute. I was in an accident in which three people died.
Mhm.
15 surgeries and 2 years of recovery. But I overcame that and I kept going and I had to run for my life. Everything was taken from me and I still kept going because if there's life, there's hope. Even in times, as you said at the beginning of this, when things feel like it's insurmountable, how am I ever going to overcome this? This is just the worst thing ever. But sometimes in that adversity is actually your stepping stone to success,
I
although we cannot see it at the time.
no, I will tell you then after meeting thousands of people and having these conversations, I their life like people divide themselves between the victims and the ones who take responsibility, sometimes too much. But if you whatever, and I don't want to be quoting Tony Robbins because it's kind of annoying, but it's what happens, you decide what you feel and how you act. And all things have like, I'll give you an example. Let me see. My phone is this phone, but as well is this phone, and as well is this phone. It's always a question of perspective, how
Yes.
we are going to look. And I believe then people as you, and I will say as me and many people, and that is where it becomes the legendary, and that is the people that I am attracting, obviously. We, I don't know if this resonates with you, but we strongly take a decision of shortcutting the pain of others because we want then our pain and our suffering to be to be transformed in love and shortcuts to cross difficult paths. In the same way, then you read that book and you say, if he could do that, can do that. There is now someone listen to us who have a much more problem than you had. You can say, who am I to be here shouting and screaming about, I don't know,
Mhm.
my coworker who looks bad to me or whatever. When your life, you transform your life, and you not only transform your life, you not only cross paths and went to save yourself, and but you did that at the same time, then you are helping others in a way that is not comfortable. It's not like, oh, let me open a GoFundMe and I will send money to there. No, you are there. You
I'm
are
going
there.
to
You are
Africa.
there.
Yeah.
You are
Yes,
there.
I'm getting ready to go meet the king of the Kuman region
Mm,
later this year, and that's, and as you know, Africa, I have to have security, and there, it's not easy to travel there, and
it's
it's
in
a whole
special.
thing.
Yeah.
No, I mean, so yeah, and my thing is, in life, I feel like that everything could be taken from us, and I learned that from Viktor Frankl. Everything was taken from this man. His name,
Yeah.
everything he owned, his research, everything. But the one thing that they couldn't take from him was how he responded to it all. Now,
100%.
is that easy? Easier said than done, right?
No.
But
Is there a superpower? Yes. And I will tell something else. If you are listening to this and you put your hands on your conscience and you understand, then you're probably behaving as a victim in many things. Let me tell you something. And it's not for you, Marta, of course. Let me tell you something. The time then you are spending feeling a victim, you are giving power to the people then you believe make you a victim. And I'm going to drop it like that because many times, yes, terrible things happen. Other times is the way then you are looking to the story. And I cannot understand if someone did something wrong to you, keep repeating the same story is keeping giving power to that person. And I'm talking in that kind of cases. Obviously, I say for 35 years, then my mom died when I was 10. That is repeating the same story, obviously, but I don't put myself as a victim. For example, in that case, I deeply believed in losing my mother so early in my life and all the terrible things that did happen after. I went from having the most lovely princess family life to totally disaster because my father was lost as well in the middle of that. But I became so aware of how people can be here and not be anymore. And I became that person who say I love you to all people every single day. And I deeply do. I don't know if tomorrow they are there. Do you feel yourself as a superhero?
no,
Can I ask you something? I think
yes,
we suffer of the same issue. Then it's a high class problem. I suffer of something that I call the selfish pleasure of giving. Make sense to you? It's like I adore so much to support, to be present, to give, to share, to fight for, to then it's almost selfish because I love what I do. I love to help. I love to achieve together. And it almost feels selfish because it's almost like it makes me so happy. Then sometimes I get so confused and I'm doing this for me or I really am doing obviously then I'm doing for other people. But do you understand my probably selfish
I
pleasure of
understand
giving?
that. And I'm also a nurse. So I understand that. And we just care and we want to keep giving. But that's when you have to remember boundaries, because if we don't keep boundaries, that, that loving welcome mat that we put out for people will turn into a doormat,
Mm-hmm.
and people will
100%.
walk on you. So you have to remember, and that's something that giving people, we're not really good at. We have to stop and say, okay, now I have to replenish myself. Now I have to rest today. Now I have to
Oh, and that is
make
hard.
sure that I'm okay.
And that is
Yes.
hard. How do you get back to balance after, and I cannot even imagine because I can feel that you are super empathic and me too. How can you, do you have a way of coming back to your balance after certain things then you watch, then then you go through, then many times are so upsetting?
Well, I worked the front lines of 2020. I mean, that was a
Oh my
battle
God.
in itself to keep, to keep a balance and to care for ourselves. And for me, I live in Las Vegas, so there's a lot of, spas. Love those. There's nature. I love, the best thing is to get up in the morning and take a walk. Just go outside. No, this is the desert, so there's not a lot of grass, but we do have a lot of parks and things where they try to keep, we have
Some green.
late things. So, I like to get up in the morning, put my music in and take a walk and just turn off the world and just be one with nature before I start my day, or sometimes at the end of it, because you come home and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe all these things happen, because, I'm still a nurse. So
Mm,
that helps a lot. And,
I'm
sometimes
100%
you're,
with you. I
yeah,
live I
sometimes the
live on a
girls stay
mountain
at the
for
spa.
that because of that. Like, yeah.
And
I
then
wake
sometimes you just want that spa day with the girls. You call up all your friends, let's go for the day. Yeah. And we have world class ones here, so it's very easy.
okay. So, a message to your younger self.
Don't be so hard on yourself. You know, when I was living in the abuse, I kept blaming myself. What did I do wrong? Why am I being treated this way? I was so difficult on myself. And even when I came out of it, it took what I called my freedom flight, and uh, was in Minneapolis, that I was beating myself up. It was like, how could I have gotten myself in this situation? Look at you. How could you have done this? But once you come out of that, you realize it wasn't you. And people ask me, they're like, are you angry at your abusers? No. Now, looking back, I'm thankful for it, because
I can understand.
it made me who I am. Now I'm not afraid. And as you know, Africa, like I said, sometimes there are people that don't like what you do. You could go in and you could feed everyone. There's gonna be somebody like, why did you do this? And now I have the courage to be able to stand up to people. I have the courage. I have traveled the world by myself. I've
Mm-hmm.
spent time in the Middle East by myself as a white single lady from the US. So now it that also was a part that helped me become Mother Martha. That gave me courage and independence and strength.
Great answer. I see myself in a lot of what you're saying. I live on the top of a mountain alone, and that was the art. There is something very beautiful in looking our biggest fear in the eyes, because it's like I always say, there's like a, or the worst part of a, I don't watch, but the worst part of a horror movie is not knowing where where the attack is coming, right? But when you can look it in the eyes, you have it. Um, I Where can we find you? Like, I will share all the links and we can talk about this. And I have a few ideas that I'm going to tell you on off. But what you told, then you wrote a book. Do you want to talk about it?
Well, and there's a book about my life. It's called Becoming Mother Martha. The I also wrote a book on what it was like to work the front lines of 2020, and that just came out.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, 2020, year of the nurse. I wanted to explain to people what it felt like, you know, what it was like on the inside when everyone else was at home quarantining. They were seeing it on TV, but I wanted people to know what we were seeing in the front lines.
Oh my God, I feel that I need to invite you again so we can have a part two about that.
Yes, we can talk about the front lines of 2020. Oh, bye.
Okay, let me say bye to these people and I will say bye to you properly in 1 second because we
Oh,
have some things to chat. Thank you so much for being here with us. If you are not feeling legendary yet, ask yourself why and how. Because what we do on this end is sharing stories of normal people, not superheroes, not famous, but people who are your next door neighbor, who have something then you can learn and get inspired, like Martha did to or with us today. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Rita Valente, and I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.